Okay, that's kind of cool music. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2018 version of the Wolfram Live Coding Championship. I'm here with Stephen Wolfram, the founder and CEO of Wolfram Research, creator of the Wolfram language, which is what we'll be programming in today, and the founder of a brand new esport, live coding. You want to tell us about it?
You know, I think I first live coded nearly 40 years ago on very primitive, a light valve projector, a terminal, a giant computer in a different room. Now everybody can do live coding with their very own laptop. With our language, live coding can be pretty exciting because in a matter of 15 seconds, you can write a piece of code that does something really interesting. And you know, it's, I haven't done it competitively myself. I'm scared of doing it competitively.
Are we going to get you to compete it tonight?
No.
Darn.
It's, I don't think there's any, I'm not a speed-oriented, well, I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah, you probably could. You just don't want to embarrass your employees. We understand. We appreciate it.
It's, but yeah, it's you know, for the first time, we actually have a programming environment where live coding can be exciting to watch, where we don't have, it's not, you know, you're not watching somebody trying to, you know, type lots of lines of code with brackets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're actually, a few seconds, something's happening, it's generating output, the output is right, the output is wrong, you get to see something happening.
Awesome. Are you guys excited to get started?
Okay.
Do you have any last-minute advice to our coders?
I don't know. It's, yeah, read the question. That's the only thing I've learned. You know, I haven't ended up doing, last time I did an exam was when I was like 18 years old maybe. And I realized looking at modern things like that, I couldn't do them, partly because I am way too quick and obstinate to read the questions. I think my advice is read the question. So
You heard it from him, quick and obstinate. All right, is everyone all set up and ready? Are we ready in the other room? All right, let's get started. Thank you, Steve. Give that back to Kyle.
Okay, question 1 has been posted, and you should begin coding.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear us? Okay. Cool. Hi. I'm Jesse, and my co-commentator here is.
I'm Swede White.
Yes, that's Swede White. He's in the Smile department at Wolfram Research.
Also known as public relations, but we call it the Smile department.
Yes. So we're going to be your commentators here this evening. I want to start out by apologizing to everyone, but particularly the people in this room for the delay in the beginning of this broadcast. But we've been working on it, and a lot of this work has happened in the past 2 weeks. So a bunch of very talented people have taken on the task of putting together this competition, and now it's happening, and just a little bit behind schedule. That's all. Okay, so I'm just going to start out. Now, I think they put up the question just now, so we should probably start. I was hoping to get the chance to explain to you guys how this is going to work, but we might need to improvise here just a little bit. I see if we can. I'd love to see the question over here on my laptop, but I'll read it to you. Sort each integer n. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the test question. My mistake. Then we can just introduce the event. Cool.
Sure. In case you're unfamiliar, this is your first time here. This is our live coding competition. It's our live coding competition, and it's our second year of doing a championship. And so what we do is Stephen Wolfram and a team of top coders come up with interesting questions that people must solve in a certain amount of time to win what is our championship belt. And so if you've checked our Twitter feed, you can see what this belt looks like, and it's quite exciting for you. So I think if we're ready to get started, we can have our first question for our contestants.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, is everyone behind the scenes here ready to go ahead with the first question? The question that I see here is the test question, not the first question in our list. I may be looking at the wrong thing. I apologize. I just want to make sure that we're not jumping ahead of ourselves here. But anyways, I'll get started by giving you guys an idea of how this event is going to work. So we have a whole bunch of questions picked out. We're certainly not going to get through all of them, but we'll get through as many as we can in the time that we have allotted. We are a bit behind schedule, so that might not be as many as we hoped for, but we hope to get through several. When the referee out in the other room with the contestants pushes up that question to our competition system, all of the contestants will receive it at the same time.
So Jesse, explain to us. You see a test question here. So explain to us how this works exactly.
Sure. The test question that I was just talking about is a question that's it's much simpler than the others. It's just to make sure that all of the competitors are up and running with this competition system. Make sure there aren't any issues that come up. It looks to me like we've gone to the first question, although I don't see it in the competition chat. But the question here, you should probably see it on the screen, but use the Wolfram data repository to obtain the titles of the books in Stephen Wolfram's library that were used during the creation of a new kind of science, and return the longest title from this list as a string. So in a few moments here, I think we will have Stephen Wolfram himself joining us to speak a little bit about this question. But the idea is the contestants can retrieve from the Wolfram data repository, which is a centralized user-contributable repository of computable data that can be created and parsed with the Wolfram language. And one of the objects in that repository is a list of Stephen Wolfram's books, a data set of Stephen Wolfram's books that were used in the creation of his 2002 book, A New Kind of Science. And I hear is quite the large library. So we're obtaining the titles of the books in this data set, and then just returning the longest title from this list as a string. So I was hoping Stephen could come up. I hear it's actually been it's been solved. I'm just going to try to bring up. Sure, Stephen. Hi, welcome. So I just realized we don't have a chair for you. I'm sorry.
Here, Stephen, you can have my chair.
That's nice. That's very nice of you, sweet. Thank you. So I'm just trying real quick to bring up the chat here with the question, but we can look at the question itself, and we can. I'm afraid I don't see any of the answers that have come in here, but we can. You can see the question here. Can we give us 1 second here, please? Sorry about this. I wonder if Danielle has anything to say right now. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What are we looking at? We're looking at one of the contestants. Looks like they actually solved the question. Here, up there on the monitor. They went to another window. Okay, so Stephen, can you talk a little bit about your library and how it was used in the creation of New Kind of Science? Did you amass all of these books prior to your work on A New Kind of Science, or
no? I kept on buying books until actually we built a new house while I was working on that book, and I kept on accumulating books until there wasn't any space to put books in the library. So I have about 6,500 books. They weigh about 2 tons, I think, altogether.
Wow. Okay.
And some of them are fairly new, some of them are quite old. I kind of tried to collect the non-famous works of many famous historical authors.
Sure.
Among other
Yeah,
things.
that makes sense.
And let's see, but I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we can
return the longest title. Wow, I'm curious what the longest title is.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I'm going to guess that is not from a new book. Because I think in modern times, book titles have to be really pithy.
That's
In
yeah. That
ancient
sounds
times, that's
that
not-
sounds very correct to me. I'm hoping we can show. Okay. Can we? I'm afraid I need to delay for a second, just so we can show at least one of the answers to the question. If we can do that. Now I said that, and of course that means that I have to bring up one of the answers to the question and figure out how to do that. Oh look, there's one on. Okay, there's one on the screen here. So if we can look at that real quick before they switch away, you can see it definitely looks like a long title.
Miscellaneous discourses concerning the dissolution and changes of the world, wherein the primitive chaos and creation, the general deluge, fountains formed stones. Wow.
Does this ring a bell at all?
Well, there's a guy called John Ray who wrote a book on the natural history of creation, and this could be a subtitle of that book.
That makes sense.
I'm not sure.
I'm wondering if the title per se is the first part before that period there, miscellaneous discourses, etc.
I don't think miscellaneous
so?
discourses
Okay.
is really a lame title. It's lame even for
Well,
the,
I hate to reveal inside information here, but I happen to have been the one who wrote this question, and I do know that book was published sometime in the 1600s.
That's what I would guess.
Yes.
Do you know who wrote it?
I don't. I'm trying
we
to.
need to find out
I'm
who
trying to.
wrote that
I'm
book.
going to just bring it up over here. I'm afraid I can't show this screen to you guys, but I mean for technical reasons, not for fairness reasons. But I'm going to try to bring this up. Let's see. Here, if you guys are welcome to switch to my monitor right here where I'm typing. And
Is it John Ray? Okay.
thank you, Bob. Okay, someone
know
in the
my
audience, solved this figured this out faster than we could.
But I think then it has a main title. I think it's something like Natural History of Creation.
Okay. Okay, sure. We're going to go back to the contestants, and hopefully we can see who solved this question first, who got the most points. So let's head back over there.
Hello and welcome back to Champaign, Illinois. We are currently in day full one of the Wolfram Technology Conference, and we are at a live coding championship, the 2018 version. I have in here in this room a mixture of employees and power users from around the world that are competing for the championship belt. We just finished the very first question, and we have our first 3-point scorers. We've got Phil Mayman, who is an external power user of ours, who I believe came in second last year. Your first 2 years ago, that's right. So we've got some power over there. We've got I, who I believe I might have an idea who that is. One of our fantastic developers for machine learning. And who is Ryman XI? Ooh, we've got an ex-employee. Yes. So I hope you've been enjoying the commentary. We're going to get right to it and go into the second question as soon as we get it ready. Can you push the question?
This is fun, isn't it? You're having fun? You're having as much fun as I am?
I'm off screen, right?
Here, you can switch to me. Okay, hi. Am I up? Hello. I'm assuming I'm on right now. So if I suppose I should go into at least a little bit of detail, if only as filler, for why this I'm not able to see this stuff. This chat, I'm supposed to be able to see all of the answers as they come in, but it's only showing me the questions. So I can't quite commentate on the answers when I can only see the questions. So we're hoping to get this this fixed up at some point in the near future. But where'd Swede go? Okay. Anyways, is the second question up yet? I don't think it is. Yes? Oh, that's a good question. Thank you. What's the name of the mascot that you saw a little bit earlier? I believe that mascot is Wolfie, who is that's the name of the stylized wolf logo that's used for the Wolfram language, and it also has a pseudo-anthropomorphized representation in the furry wolf costume that is worn by some poor soul in the other room. Sorry. Let's see. Do we have? Can someone let me know what the status is as far as the second question goes? Is that happening? Okay, they're working on it. So I'm afraid, Swede, we need to fill in some time here.
We do need to fill in some time, and tell me exactly what is it? What is the next
I'm
question?
sorry. I see the question is on the screen here. Is that out to the contestants? Just want to make sure. Okay, so question, countries closest to a disk. Find the country whose polygon is closest to a disk. And polygon being capitalized there, it means the polygon property of that country's entity, which is a polygonal representation of the borders of that country and all of its territory, really. Most specifically, find the country that minimizes the area of the minimal enclosing disk of that polygon over the area of the polygon. And work in the equirectangular projection, that's just sort of saying work where latitude and longitude are essentially equal to x and y, and return a country entity, and do not use geovariant. Geovariant specifies different variants of an entity property, so it could be the polygon of all territories of that country or just the mainland. So there are a couple options you could use, and this says just to use the default interpretation here. And yeah, return a country entity. Let's see, as was the case before, I unfortunately can't see any of the answers as they're coming in, so I was hoping, does anyone know, do any of you guys know? Oh, I see someone solving it.
Jesse,
yeah.
Let me ask you, the entity part of the question, it means like people could use entity in the Wolfram language.
Yes.
I mean, is that something people should do?
Yeah, I suppose the implication here is to use, as we see on the screen of this person, this is Etienne, I believe, who works in, who does a lot of work on the machine learning aspects of the Wolfram language, which this does not quite overlap with, but you can see Etienne is using the Afghanistan entity, country entity, and he's querying the polygon property from that. And you can also see that returned is a polygon that is a geoposition, or actually a set of, looks like 726 geopositions that define the border of Afghanistan, and looks like he's trying to find the area of that polygon as a region, and that doesn't seem to be working. Actually, I won't say what I suspect here in case he can hear me through the air wall, but I'm thinking that he's let's just say he's trying to find the area of something that isn't actually a region, not quite yet. So looks like he's looking up how polygon works and maybe trying to figure out some way to convert it to a region. Now I'm just going to switch real quick to someone else here. This is Mads. I actually don't personally know Mads. Do you? Can you tell us a bit about?
Yes, I met him at the Wolfram Summer School this summer. Mads, I believe, has a PhD in chemistry, and he is currently working on some computational essays for what is our new notebook archive. But Mads is an expert in looking up entities and things like this, so I expect that he might come up with an answer perhaps more quickly than Etienne. We'll find out very shortly.
Find out, yes. We can go back to his screen and see what he's up to. Or we can look at Carlo.
I see Carlo there.
Yes. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're back to Mads' screen. Mads is, interesting. Mads is trying to use country data instead of an entity. Now, there's it's actually, I have to admit, it's kind of poorly defined.
It's nuanced.
Sorry, yeah, the nuance between the border, the border of the entity functionality in the Wolfram language and country data, which is a little bit like country data and the other computable data native functions, which are a little bit older than the entity stuff. But my understanding is that they do have a lot of overlap, but there are some differences, which I think we probably shouldn't go into right now.
Sure.
But we can see Mads is trying to use country data, getting the area property, and I suspect, that's an interesting technique. Instead of trying to calculate the area of the polygon, he's just getting what country data says is the area. Which
So
yes.
Jesse, tell us, those of us that don't program it, like, what does the hash symbol mean?
Oh yeah, sure. The hash symbol. We can see Mads is using a function or a piece of functionality in the Wolfram language called map, which allows you to map a pure function, which is in a way, it's a little self-contained piece of code. Map that across. Apply it to a list of pieces of data. So
Sure. So we have that &/at. Like,
yes, the
what
ampersand.
is that saying?
So the /at says map. So it says take this pure function that's on the left and map it across this list of data on the right. The ampersand is designating that the piece to the left of it is a pure function, and that also connects to the use of the hash sign there, which is it's called a slot. So it says you're mapping across this list, and then each element of this list has to be put into this pure function somewhere, and that slot is saying where it goes. So the end effect of this is that he's getting the list of countries, country data with no arguments, with just the open close bracket. It returns a list of countries. So he's taking each of those countries and then putting it into country data to get the area out of that.
So those of us that might be used to like Stata or SPSS, that this is really like a functional way of programming that we can save time
Absolutely,
without
yes.
doing like for loops, etc.
Absolutely. It enables you to write essentially little, these pure functions are, I think, best described as little self-contained pieces of code. In some other languages, they're called anonymous functions, in that they don't have a name. There's not a name that you call them with. You define it ad hoc, so to speak, and pass data into it as is necessary.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a very purely functional way of doing things, and it has many tremendous advantages, I think, a lot of the time.
And to check back in, you wrote this question, right?
I actually adapted this question from someone who had been working on these live coding competitions before me. Yes, but I did not write the text of the question myself. I don't think.
The reason I'm asking is it seems to be quite challenging here.
You think okay? Let's actually sure. Let's actually. Well, if it's too challenging, then it's not my fault.
We're
Yeah.
not sure yet. We have that.
We can jump in and see what other people
Sure.
are doing. We saw Carlo on that monitor earlier. Let's see what he's up to. This is Carlo's screen. He's back to using entities. He's saying entity value here, called this way, says get the polygons of all country entities, and then that entity association third argument is what's called a qualifier. If you didn't use the qualifier, it would return a list of those polygons, but you wouldn't necessarily know which polygon corresponds to which country. So entity association, I'm afraid we can't see exactly what that's outputting since he's a little bit beyond that stage, but it's outputting an association, which is in other languages it's what you might be familiar with as a hash or a dictionary.
Sure.
It's a key valued data structure in which the keys are the entities and the values are these polygon objects. So if you iterate over that association, you know at every point in time or at every iteration, you have both that polygon and you know what country entity it's referring to.
So something we see here that's different from other languages perhaps is that the / can suddenly a function. What's going on with that?
Oh yeah, sure. // that's what's called. I believe that's called a suffix, right? Suffix or postfix? I think it's suffix. Yeah. So it's just a piece of syntax for sort of tacking on a function to the end of a thing. If you of a piece of code, if you write a piece of code and then you say, okay, I want to I don't know, if you write something that outputs a string and then you want to reverse that, you could go back in and write string reverse and open bracket, then that code, and then close bracket. But slash slash, the suffix is a very easy way to just really quickly tack on generally a single argumented function onto the end of something. So if I had my code that generated a string, if I just do slash slash string reverse on the end of that, it interprets that as string reverse, open bracket, that code, close bracket. So it's a sort of syntactic shortcut that's useful when you're I wouldn't say live coding, but when you're rapid prototyping and just going through a whole bunch of different ways to solve something really fast. It just saves you that many keystrokes, and those add up over time.
And it looks like we're still looking at Carlo right now.
Yes, this is Carlo. Let's see.
Looking at Simplex right now.
Simplex. That's interesting. I have to say I don't know what he's trying to do there. But let's move on to Chip, who is. Oh, look at that!
Wow.
I think he got the answer. Okay, I believe that is the answer. Do we know from the judges if that? Okay, that one answer would be Chip. I believe that is the correct answer, and I have to admit I don't know how to pronounce the name of that country. Do you know, Swede?
I do not know.
Neither of us know. Does anybody know?
I would say Nauru.
Nauru, yeah.
I don't know if that's correct.
I mean, that seems generally reasonable.
Sure.
I mean, more reasonable than unreasonable.
Is there an entity value for like pronunciation?
That's a good question. I don't think there is, although it might be possible to look it up in the dictionary and get an IPA pronunciation sort of thing from that. But that's probably not what we should be doing right now. But let's look at what Chip did here. He did that first line of code is essentially the same thing that Carlo was doing, which is using entity value to grab all the polygons of all of these countries as in association, where the key is it's the country entity, and then this is the part that I believe I think it was Mads was missing, or no, Etienne. Discretized graphics. Now, I have to admit, I don't know that much about the region functionality in Wolfram language, but my understanding of what's happening there is polygons. Each polygon object that comes out is it's what's called a graphics object. It's a graphics primitive in the Wolfram language, and discretized graphics takes graphics and converts them to regions, which are a little bit. It's a more mathematical way of specifying generally a closed loop, a closed surface. So discretized graphics converts those polygons to regions, and then he's passing those into bounding region, which finds with the min disk argument there. It's finding what the question specifies, which is what is it? It's the country. Okay, more specifically, find the country that minimizes area of the minimal enclosing disk over area of the polygon. Okay, we have a Wolfie. Interruption here. Wolfie attack.
Apparently, we have Wolfie here
yes,
interacting with
Wolfie is
contestants.
mauling the camera. Thank you, Wolfie. So, anyways, the min disk argument to bounding region there. I'm assuming, I don't actually know, but I'm assuming you can pass different kinds of arguments to bounding region to find perhaps the bounding rectangle, or perhaps even the bounding n polygon. But in this case. Okay, we have a second correct answer. We'll take a look at that real quick, but I just want to get through what's happening in this code real quick. Finding the minimum disk that bounds that polygon, and then he's finding the area of that, and then he's doing literally what that little piece of that little formula in the question says, which is he's dividing the area of the minimal enclosing disk by the area of the polygon itself. And then minimal by is simply takes a list and finds the member of that list for which technically a pure function applied to that member for which a function is minimized.
And we get our wonderful Nauru.
Yes, we get
right
a wonderful. We maintain that semantic entity goodness throughout throughout all of this computation. So you could go into that Nauru entity right there without doing anything else and grab like the population of that country, or pretty much any other object that you might like to see. And I unfortunately, if I had thought this through, I would have loaded onto one of these computers a couple more examples. In fact, let's take a look at.
Jesse, do we have a winner for this?
Do we have a winner? Yeah, I'm sure Andre wants me to move on to the winner. I hear we have two. Do we have? Okay, we have two. I'm just going to go real quick. If we can go over to my my screen here, on the full screen, not the picture-in-picture. Okay. Anyways, if you can see this, I'm pulling up. I don't think you can see this, but I'll do it anyways. Okay. Well, can we see my screen, or is that not going to work? Okay, look, there it is. That's my screen. Okay, so
Beautiful.
I'm using the wonderful geographics function, which is a incredibly powerful. I think it qualifies as a super function.
Yes.
In the Wolfram language terminology, but it's. Well, I won't go into the details. It's probably pretty obvious what it's doing. But all I did was, this is the exact kind of country entity that we just saw Chip returning as his result, his correct answer. And all I'm doing is that // that suffix that we were talking about earlier, and tacking geographics onto the end of that, and that gives us a geographics object. And we can see that it looks pretty circular. I'm wondering if maybe it was the result of some kind of volcanic eruption, volcanically formed island that resulted in a more circular shape than your average crinkly coastlines.
That's really quite nice, Jesse. It's really nice that you've displayed this right now, especially showing just like the very simple functionality.
Yeah,
of what's going on right there.
this certainly qualifies as one line of code to produce something that I guarantee you no other language without some trickery could do in one line of code. And there's no trickery here. This kind of functionality is available.
Well, I'm sure our contestants are.
Yeah, here we have 3 correct answers. I think we can. Do you want to go to to Danielle? Yeah, there's Danielle.
Hello and welcome back to the Live Coding Championship.
This is a very
We are here live in Champaign, Illinois at the 2018 Wolfram Technology Conference. In this room are some of the best and brightest coders in the business. We just finished with the second question, which proved to be quite tough as we only had 2 people earn points. We called time, and we have a judge's clarification that should only take a second.
So we had 2 very interesting things happen. One was that there was a mistake in submitting code and that the entire piece of code wasn't submitted, and we have to stick to the rules that your piece of code needs to be self-contained. And so we even though we know that this person wrote the right code, we can't count it because they didn't send it in. So the second thing that happened is there was a really important distinguishing function, and it came down to knowledge of discretized graphics. And so there was an interesting moment where we realized that discretized graphics was a key function that somebody would need to know to be able to solve this problem. Oh, all right. And well.
So the one that answered it first said that one's important.
Okay, I would defer to him if he says it.
Thank you very much, Kyle. All right, so better luck next time, guys. Kyle, if you could send the next question.
Well, so we haven't announced the winners yet, have we?
Oh, I have to say who got points.
Wait.
I can't see.
Because we're still just double checking.
Oh.
Just before, just in the last second.
In the very last second. Now, see, these guys know how to put on a drama. In the very last second, somebody submitted another question, so they're evaluating it to see if the code is correct. They're deliberating right now.
Do we have music?
Oh, it's getting kind of heated. People are trying to really figure out what they did wrong. Ooh, okay, now they've been submitted.
A bit later.
All right, so we
Sorry,
now
what
have
was it?
still in first place is Philip
Thank you
Mayman.
for coming.
We have in second place now Ryman XI. Excellent job, Chip. In third place we have I. You can make it up, it's okay. All right, we do have some more questions coming. Did you guys need anything else? You ready to go? And the third question.
Hello.
And
Hello.
we
We're
are
back.
we are back
And the third
again,
question.
and we are currently viewing the competition room. We have a room full of live
There's-
coders, and here we are back again. So let's go to our next question, right, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm sure that will happen any second now, Swede.
Okay, great.
There it is, astronaut timelines. Plot the dates of birth of the 6 astronauts/cosmonauts, very important, who were crew members on the most manned space missions. Return a timeline plot, a graphics object, that's just a little bit of clarification there, called with an association of person entity to date object rules, with all options set at at their defaults.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yes, that was a mouthful. I wrote this question too, that's why it's a mouthful. Okay, so I think it's probably, despite being a mouthful, a bit of pretty self-explanatory. The dates of birth, okay, the 6 astronauts or cosmonauts, very important, who were crew members on the most number of manned space missions. I am assuming, no, I know because I wrote the question, that there's functionality to retrieve this data through entities in the Wolfram language. And let's go to one of our contestants. Ooh, they found the correct entity class, manned, or rather entity class. Yeah. Entity.
Who's
okay, entity class.
Right
yeah, we are looking at Chip again.
Okay.
He is well on his way.
Wow.
He's finding the crew flatten tally. Okay, sure. He's Alan Bean. That's a nice name. So he's grabbing the crews of all manned space missions. He's flattening that, so it would be normally.
Sure, and let's talk about the @@ symbol that he's using. What does that mean across that?
Okay, I'll get there in just a second.
Okay.
I just want to go through this sort of step by step. He is flattening the list of crew members on all space missions. So that means reducing it from a 2-dimensional list, so a list composed of lists. He's reducing that to just a list of, in this case, person entities. And then he's doing tally, which I have to admit I'm familiar with the functions count, but I don't know tally. Is that? Do you know if that's similar?
I use it in my talk tomorrow, actually, but Seth Chandler seems to have an explanation.
Okay, there you go. It's an older variant of count, so we won't worry about exactly what that's returning there. But what the counts, which is the one that I happen to know, returns in association, in which, so it takes a list in which there might be duplicate elements, and it returns an association where each key is an element and the value is the number of times that it appears. Let's see, he's doing tally, and you mentioned that @ symbol there. That is the direct analog of that / suffix syntax piece that we had, but it's just sort of the other way around. It goes, while suffix is at the beginning, that one's called prefix, and it goes at the, suffix is at the end, and prefix goes at the beginning. So that's doing, you can probably figure out it's like pretty much the exact same thing, just you're putting the function name first. It looks even more like calling it with double brackets, but you're eliminating the last bracket.
Well, sure. That's my question. Why not put it all in brackets? Is it for cleaner code?
You can do it for many reasons. I'd say cleaner code. I'm sure this is a matter of personal preference, and it really depends if it makes sense. One limitation, so to speak, of prefix and suffix is that you essentially can't call them, you can't use multi-argument functions with them. So you can only, since it only really works, I mean, there are ways to get around this, but it only really works with functions that take a single argument. So that normal one, the function there called normal, takes a single argument. I see looks like he's on his way there. He got the Sergey Swede.
Vitaly.
Vitaly.
Krikuyov, I would imagine.
Ooh, you're good. Okay.
That's
he
correct?
got. I assume that's the top person, but the question asks for the top 6. So he looks like he's working on that. Let's take a look at. This is Chip, by the way. Let's take a look at Etienne. Etienne is, let's see. Oh, he's He was using this before, right? Manned space mission data, or maybe that was MADS.
Sure.
But using the computable, the slightly older style of computable data command, which is these dedicated functions instead of using entities. And in principle, there isn't anything wrong with that.
That seems kind of crazy to have built into a programming language. Like, how long has this been in Wolfram language?
That's a good question. The interesting thing about these computable data functions, they were introduced around, I want to say around version 10 or 11. It would have been 10 or 11. I don't know which one. But they've been added onto to maintain, I believe, backward compatibility. So manned space mission data wouldn't have been one of the original ones.
And it seems like more and more, like, Stephen last night in his keynote talked about, just more and more data being available in the Wolfram language is kind of amazing, like that you can do this command in Wolfram language and figure out these things.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's always amazing to see that you can do computation on this relatively obscure realm of data so simply, and it's really, when you get started doing this stuff, it's incredibly helpful and it's constantly amazing to be able to see this. Looks like he's using, let's see, he defined a variable missions, which is just the array of all the space missions. He's grabbing well, it looks like he has a couple different approaches that he was trying, but he's doing maximal buy, which I think we saw earlier, but we just saw minimal buy. This is the,
Sure.
I think you can probably figure out what maximal buy does. Now, I think he might be going about this a bit wrong. It looks like what he's trying to do is find the mission that had the largest crew, while the question is sort of the abstractly the inverse of that, which is the crew member who had the most missions. Let's see. We'll see if I don't know if he's hearing me through this air wall, spoiling everything for him. But we'll see if he keeps at that. But first, I'm going to switch over to MADS, see what MADS is up to. MADS is also using manned space mission data. Same flattened approach that Chip was using, just on the computable data on the dedicated function instead of the entity. Now, do we have any correct answers yet? We have 2 correct answers. Okay, I'm going a bit slow, I guess. I'm assuming this does not look like an answer. This looks like work, although maybe they're just scrolled up. This is Chip right now. Oh, cool. He organized his notebook very nicely. And if look at that, there's the timeline plot. Okay, very nice. So it's essentially a similar approach to how everyone else was doing it. He's using tally. He's sorting by. He's finding the member of that tallied. I assume it's returning, since it's an older version. It's probably a list that's giving instead of an association. He's finding the member of that. He's finding the tally, essentially the. Not the Vitali, the tally. The crew member who has the most missions, which is that last of that tally result there. And how are we? Do we have 3 yet? 1. Okay, I want to make sure I'm not going on while everyone's waiting for the results. But and then entity value, birth date, yeah, and then he's doing a timeline plot of them by the birth date. And timeline plot, do you want to explain timeline plot real quick? It should be pretty obvious what it is from that picture.
Well, you're putting me on the spot right now.
Oh, yeah, of course I am, Splee. That's what you're here for.
Obviously, timeline plot, I use it actually in PR to organize our campaigns and figure out how we're talking about what. But actually, you can just take some entity values and some labels and say, okay, I have a date and I have a label, and I can use timeline plot to say, okay, here's when something happens, and here's the label for it, and the Wolfram language figures out where that needs to go on a plot. Like, as you can see, what you're looking at, it's literally a timeline, and it plots it on there. It plots the labels on there.
Yeah.
Very easy to use. I hope that was a good enough explanation, Jesse.
It is, so to speak, what it says on the tin. It is a timeline plot. So we're plotting the birth dates of all of those astronauts, obviously in order by, birth date, and then it has the names there, which is something that's done automatically by timeline plot when you call it in that particular manner. Now, I noticed one of the results there is Michael Foll, who I know happens to have a special connection to Wolfram Research.
Indeed.
Did you want to talk about that, or should I?
Yes.
I can do it if you want. But. Okay, sure.
Stephen,
we have our guest, returning special guest, Stephen Wolfram himself. who will talk briefly about Michael Foll's connection to Wolfram Research.
Yes, I noticed the name Mike Foll up there. Mike actually was at our 10th anniversary Mathematica conference in 1998. He had recently returned from one of the times that he was in space, but he is one of our non-terrestrial Wolfram language users.
How many are there, by chance? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, there's several, because I know that but Mike Foll had the strange fortune to be on the Mir space station when there was an accident on the Mir space station. He had a version of Mathematica at that time on an American computer that he'd taken with him to the space station. And unfortunately, the American computer during the accident ended up in a depressurized part of the space station. So not accessible.
Yeah, not good.
But,
Don't want to go
but,
there.
but Mike Foll is a good astronaut, and he was prepared. And so he actually had a distribution disk separate from the computer. So he was able to take this distribution disk and put it into another computer, but the computer he put it into was a Russian computer. And at that time, we had a whole DRM system that was based on kind of what, where the computer came from. And so it said, I can't run here. This is a Russian computer. So our customer service group got one of their more unexpected phone calls from a ground controller saying, can you, we got this ID number of Mathematica, and it's not running. Why is it not running? Well, it's on a Russian computer. Why is it on a Russian computer? Well, watch the news.
Or rather.
Yes, right. I'm happy to say we got it figured out.
Yes.
And Mike was able to, he was trying to compute, the space station was spinning at the time, and he actually solved the equations of motion for the space station on his Mathematica.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Russian ground controllers wouldn't let him do the maneuver that he had computed he should be able to do. They said, we don't believe in all this math stuff. We just want to follow the procedures that we've had defined. So sadly, he wasn't actually able to do. I thought it was pretty impressive that somebody on a spinning space station was able to figure out Lagrange's equations and do mechanics computations. The story would have been even better if they'd fired the thrusters on the space station and it had perfectly solved the problem, but it was actually solved by some other procedure.
And I was reading about this this particular scenario earlier, just to make sure I didn't embarrass myself by saying something wrong about it. But Michael Foll's talk at the 10th anniversary Mathematica Users Conference, I think it was then, is available. The transcript of it is on the Mathematica Journal, which is available online. So if you're interested in it, it's a really good talk, even without video or audio, just text. So if this intrigues you, you should look at it. Okay, so sounds like we're gonna move on to we're gonna go back to Danielle and see who the winners were for this question. Soon, shortly.
Mike is now a retired astronaut, and he's been using Wolfram language a lot, and he has an experimental aircraft that he's all rigged up.
Sorry, they're back. Oh,
Thank you, Stephen.
Are we going to Danielle?
It looks like we're back to Danielle in the competition room.
Almost.
And we can see our various competitors there. And it looks like our referee is talking to our competitors about the various rules that we have going on. And Jesse, you
Hello and welcome back to the Live Coding Championship. Kyle, do we have 3 answers? Uh-oh. What happened?
We did in fact have 3 answers. We in fact had 4, but we had a technical issue where one of the submitters was having technical issues with the network.
Oh.
And so we are determining right now. We went over to verify that in fact he had he tried to submit the code before the one that actually came through. So now we're trying to figure out if his code was correct, and we'll be letting you know in 1 second. So there's a little bit of real drama happening here. We had to go to the the big dogs and do an instant replay.
Instant replay from the booth, we're finding out. So in case you're just joining us, we are in the end of the very first day, full day of the Wolfram Technology Conference. It's an annual conference held here in Champaign, Illinois, which is where the Wolfram Research headquarters are. We have power users from around the globe that come here to learn about the newest functionality. They can network with people that they may have never met in real life before from various different industries, government, education. It's a pretty neat environment, and we invite employees and guests alike to come to a special event this first night to compete for the Live Coding Championship. And I think we might have an answer. Does your microphone, is that microphone, want to use this one?
I'll just hold two microphones.
All right then.
All right, so we in fact got 5 correct answers. We did determine that the person who was in the room that had a technical issue had in fact completed their submission first, and so we've awarded the 3rd place point to, I don't know his, ay.
Okay, so, all right, so these are the updated, this is the updated leaderboard. We have now in first place, Ryman. Reman. I said it wrong twice. Reman. Him with 7 points. We've got Philip Mayman in second with 5 points. We have I in third with 3 points. And we have a new member to the leaderboard, Total Annihilation with 2.
Is it us again? Yep.
So Jesse, that's quite exciting.
And are we ready for our next question?
Should we talk now?
And question number 4 has arrived. Back to you.
So Jesse, it looks like we have question number 4.
Yes, against a beautiful, beautiful black screen. Okay, there we go. We see someone beginning to solve it. Centroid in capital. Only one U.S. state, excluding the District of Columbia, which isn't a state, but it's important to make the clarification, has a geographic centroid located within the polygon of its capital city. Find that state and return it as an administrative division entity. So I believe Jose is here, yeah? Is Jose here? Hi, Jose. So I'll wait until Jose comes up and we can introduce him. But we have an expert commentator here who is not Stephen Wolfram, who hopefully can provide a little more insight on what's going on here. Hello, Jose. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. So could you just briefly introduce yourself and your relation to Wolfram, what you do with Wolfram?
Yes. So my name is Jose Martin Garcia, and I'm one of the developers of the Geo functionality. And yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and this question clearly, even before seeing any code, it clearly makes use of some geography functionality. So can are you able to explain? It says geographic centroid. What does that mean specifically? I mean, I assume it has something to do with the center of a polygon.
Yes. So so the centroid, there is the region centroid function.
Yes.
And so it's yes, it's an interior point of the polygon, and so you can think of it as some sort of center of mass on which, if you wanted to have the polygon like standing on a point, vertical, some vertical stick, you would have to use that point to make it stand
so
there.
it's like the corresponding point. If you say center of the circle, that's clearly the center of a circle.
Right.
But for a polygon that doesn't have an obvious center, a centroid is the closest thing to closest corresponding thing to an actual geometric center, at least in some sense.
In some sense, yes.
Okay, sure. I think that makes the most sense. And since obviously countries are not perfect circles or squares or rectangles, we have to take a little bit of have to be a little bit liberal there in your interpretation of center. So we use centroid, and that's we can see probably There's someone using, this is Chip right now using region centroid, which finds the centroid of a region entity, sorry, not an entity, a region a symbol, a region, which we discussed earlier, the difference between region and graphics. Region is just a kind of more mathematical way of expressing a closed, well, region. So we looks like Chip he's using discretized graphics. He's onto it now. Let's see, what do we have here? He's region centroid. He's using compose. That's a little bit of a slightly more obscure operator. I think I don't want to go into exactly what compose does. That's the at sign and then the asterisk. It's a little more obscure, but it's in the same family of things like prefix and suffix, which are which apply a function to some piece of code. So he's finding the centers of all of these, the polygons of all these states, the entity value, finding the capital city of all of the states. Looks like he has a little, he duplicated his code down there, but I'm afraid that part is a little covered up by our picture-in-picture here. We have a question in the chat. I think an extra credit question should be to animate the /wolf character. Okay, well, I don't see any reason not to do that in the future. We do have a whole bunch of questions lined up for tonight, and I'm not sure how many more we'll get through, but I will absolutely keep that in mind in the future. I'm sure that would be a very fun question to do. So, anyways, looks like he got it. He got the state Oklahoma. He avoided the trap, which is District of Columbia, because District of Columbia also satisfies those constraints. How many do we have? Correct answers? We have one. Chip is the only correct answer here. So he's getting the geo position of all of those capitals, and he's using geo within Q, which is a very cool function.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about geo within Q? Or?
Yeah. So it's a function that can take a polygon or an entity, meaning the polygon of that entity, and then another geo object, in particular a geo position, and check whether the second is inside the first one.
Okay, and you can use not just a geo position, which is a single infinitesimally small coordinate, but that you can. I assume you could pass in an entity as well. So I could say, is Alabama inside the United States of America, and that would it just works. So it's smart enough to it doesn't restrict you to one very specific form of input that you have to handle. So it's very nice in that manner. So looks like Chip got that. Let's see what Etienne is doing. Let's see. He has. Oh, that's interesting. He's using interpreter. That's a very weird way of doing it, but he's using interpreter, which is a natural language understanding function. So you can see in the input cell labeled in3, he's using interpreter on USA, and what that's doing by using interpreter, open bracket, country, close bracket, that actually makes a function, a sort of standalone, one sort of ad hoc function that you can then call with a string, and it interprets that string as a country and returns a country entity. And then I'm not sure why he's using that again with administrative division. What essentially he's doing is he's getting the names of all of the regions in the U.S., whatever I assume region corresponds to state, and then he's using those names in an interpreter. That's a slightly odd way to do it, but I mean, anything goes as long as it works, really. Then
I think he's trying to get the entities of the states.
Yeah, he's trying to get the entities of the states, but it looks like the way he's in a state administrative division here is kind of a catch-all. It can be any administrative division within a country. So state, each state is an administrative division, but also each county within that state, at least in the U.S.
Right. We have levels of administrative.
Yeah, there are
division.
levels of administrative division, but that's the way to get a state. But what I thought was okay. We have two correct answers. What I thought was weird was that he was using an interpreter to find those states, those state entities, instead of getting it in a slightly more idiomatic way, if you will. We have two correct answers. I'm assuming Etienne is not one of them. So let's go over to Mads. Doesn't look like Mads has it either, but is using geobounds. What's geobounds is the it's like the bounding rectangle, right?
Exactly. We'll give you the ranges of latitudes and longitudes.
Okay, so yeah, in essence, a rectangle. The smallest rectangle that fits around that entity or that polygon or whatever, that geopolygon, geographic polygon or whatever. But let's see.
Yes, but you cannot apply region
Yeah.
centroid directly to that.
Yeah, he can't quite do that. He needs to convert it to a region. Well, he doesn't even want to do that because even if you were doing that, you'd just be dealing with a region that's a rectangle. So he needs to use the polygon of that entity, and then convert that to a region, and then get the center of that. Okay, let's see. Carlo, are we still at 2? Yeah, we're still at 2. Carlo has done nothing. Good job, Carlo. I don't know. Wait, look, you're welcome, Carlo. I don't know who the second. Well, okay. I should be clear. Actually, this is something. I apologize for not making this clear. I've been showing 4 people: Mads, Carlo, Chip, and Etienne. Those are not the only contestants in the competition. Those are the 4 that we selected through our complex machinations to be shown on this stream here. And also for technical reasons, we could only do 4. But there are several other competitors working on this problem. So I imagine one of the correct solutions probably was Chip, and then the other one was someone. This is Chip again, and the other one was someone who we're not showing here. I don't know who it is. We're still at 2. Just trying to keep tabs on that. Okay, we're still at 2. Correct. Okay. Let's see. I don't see any questions in chat about this. But did you have any other thoughts about, like, how would Jose? When you see this question, what's the immediate way that you think of solving it?
Well, I would download polygons, find their centroids, and then capitals. Basically, what we see in this solution.
Okay, yeah, what Chip did.
This solution is very well organized.
Yes,
yeah.
I think Chip, you're right. Chip did a good job here. And let's see, he's using map thread, which is, oh geez, I forget what map thread does. What is?
Well, it's you see, you have the list of capitals and the list of centers, and then it's mapping the function within.
Oh right,
through the pairs.
It's using the first capital as the first argument, and the first center is the second argument, and the second capital as the first argument. Second. Okay, exactly. Yeah. So it is what the name suggests. It's a combination of the map function and the thread function, which essentially it allows you to pass a list to a function that doesn't take a list, and then it automatically maps actually that function over the list.
Right. So he gets back a list of trues and false, and then he has to use pick to realize which one of the entities corresponds to the one that gave true.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. That makes sense. Thank you, Jose. We're still at 2. Sorry, just trying to keep tabs on this. Okay. We have our. We're close. I hear. We're close. Let me know as soon as we're ready to go back to Danielle and her cohort. Let's see. Okay, sure. So let's see. I don't think there's really anything else to discuss about this particular question. Let's see. Okay. Let's see who the winners are. Shortly.
Hello and welcome back to the Live Coding Championship. We have just completed the 4th question and we have 3 winners with points. So is it updated now? Oh, and it's getting up. The leaderboard is getting updated right now.
They can't really hear me.
Hopefully, maybe.
Sure.
So is this before or after your announcement, Kyle? This is before. Okay. I'm supposed to stand over here, but I can't see anything over there. Okay. So we're going to make this work. All right. After the 4th question. Wow. Okay. So We've moved up in points. We got 10 for first place. We have Phil in second with 6. And then we've got Total Annihilation climbing the leaderboard up to 4 points. Excellent. And I do believe we have one more announcement.
We had to go back into our records. We looked through our logs, and we in fact found a third submission for problem number, was it 2? 2, question number 2. So we are going to retrospectively award a point to somebody who had earned it and deserved it in the beginning, and we're going to admit that we were wrong and offer you that point back.
Thank
That's
you
it.
very much,
Yep.
Kyle. We appreciate you. And are we ready for the next question?
Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
The next
Okay,
question-
so we're going to be seeing the next question shortly. I have to commend our judges on doing, on admitting that they were wrong, or at least missed a correct solution to that previous question. I think they're doing a very good job of being diligent and honest judges. Okay, question is up. Periodic pi. Retrieve the material color of each element in the periodic table is given by the color interpreter. We were mentioning interpreters earlier. Discard any missing or colorless values and return a pie chart graphics object with a sector for each color, where each sector's width is proportional to the number of elements with that color, and the sector is styled with the color. Sort the colors into canonical order by count before generating the pie chart, so the sector sizes are in order. That's long. I
Wow.
wrote that one too. I'm
Jesse,
noticing a pattern
wow.
here. Yeah. Okay. So we're getting elements in the periodic table, the most fundamental form of substance. And color okay, retrieve the material color. So I imagine each element here, you can get a property of it that is the color of that element as a physical material, and then it's using. I happen to know that those colors are given as strings, and it's using the color interpreter. The question tells you to use the color interpreter to interpret those strings, string colors, color strings, as colors, which is the Wolfram language can represent colors natively as a first-class object, as an RGB color value. So I expect we'll see someone shortly bringing that up. Let's go over to Mads, see if they're... Oh, I have no idea what that is.
Wow.
Color structure diagram. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's not going to work. Okay, well, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, that's not even close. Sorry. But okay, let's go over and see how Carlo is doing. He's quick. Carlo's fast. He's totally annihilating the competition. So he's applying. I'm afraid we can't see all of his code. Okay, there it is. Delete cases. Oh, that's very good. He caught on very fast. He's deleting cases from all of these all of these colors in which it's missing, as in the Wolfram language does not know the Wolfram language data. The Wolfram data. Frank, what is it called? What's the whole thing?
The knowledge base?
Knowledge base, thank you. Well, I'm trying to get these terms right. I'm glad I have a PR person here to help.
The smile department.
Yeah, the smile department, thank you. Smiley. You have your smiley face. That's your new job title. Okay. Anyways, when it says missing, that means the Wolfram knowledge base does not have information for that element. And he's going very fast here. Was that confirmed is that a correct solution? Do we know yet? Maybe not. Maybe he probably didn't submit it. Okay. But he's deleting all the cases in all of those colors, in which case, and bear in mind, we don't care what element it is, we just want all the colors, so he's not doing anything like an entity association where you maintain that knowledge of what entity corresponds to which value. He's just getting all the colors. He's deleting all the cases where that color is missing, meaning Wolfram language doesn't know, or the string colorless, which is used by that color property to indicate the Wolfram language knows, the Wolfram knowledge base knows, but it knows that it does not have a color, like a gas, a colorless gas, which I believe, I wouldn't want to say majority, but I believe Oh, wow, 2 correct solutions already. I believe a majority of the elements on the periodic table might be colorless. And then he's doing counts, which is corresponds to that tally function we talked about earlier. Then he's sorting that and reversing that. He could use the new function in, I think, 11.3, reverse sort, which wraps those all into one, but whatever, it's fine. Reverse at sort is fine. And then he's doing a pie chart where the chart style is the keys of that count association, and that's kind of the the key part, which is to assign each of those sectors a color that is that actual the color of that sector represents. Does that make sense? I think that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
so,
nice code.
Yes, it's good code. I like it. Good on Carlo there. Good code from Carlo. Who would expect it? Okay. Are we still at 2? We're close to having 3. Okay, we have 2 correct solutions. I'm guessing that Carlo one is a correct solution. Chip, there you go. Chip has it as well, and I think Chip caught on to that bit at the very end, which is sort the colors into canonical order by count, which specifies the order in which they go around that pie. I suspect the judges may have treated Carlo's answer as correct anyways, because it is substantially correct. It's just missing that one tiny little nitpicky element that's specified in the question. Just let me know. Okay, we're still at 2. I just want to know. Okay, we're coming to 3. Okay, sure. So I think we're ready to go back to Danielle shortly. In just 1 second, not literal second, but a short period of time. Are we ready to go? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna stall for time. Let's see. It looks like this is Chip. Chip did it.
And
okay,
welcome
we're
back.
Going. Bye. Hi, Danielle.
We're again with the contestants in their sequestered room. They have just finished question number 5, and we do have 3 correct answers. Can we update the leaderboard? Oh, we need a second. Our judges are taking judging very seriously. Do we have another clarifying moment?
Well, it's another exciting moment over in the judging table. So we, in fact, got about 7 submissions right at the last moment. And so we're really having to look at the timestamp to make sure that when it hit the server, it's actually timestamped differently than when it hits our computer. So we need to make sure that the server timestamp is the one that we're judging by. So we're right now sorting through all of the different timestamps to make sure that we award the right points to the right winners.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarifying remark. Well,
They can come back to us if they need to.
we hear intense debate coming from the judges' table at the moment.
You can come back to us.
There's some heated competition in here.
This one, Bob is coming up for. Hey, Bob.
You can come back to us if you need to.
He's like, I don't want to get in trouble. He's not going to come sit at your table.
All right, we're good.
That's why he's staying away from you.
All right, we have.
We have the official winners. It has been verified and double verified.
All right,
And
are
can
we pushing them live? I keep saying they have them.
they have them and waiting for the screen to update. And we have
Do you understand?
Riemann at 11 points in first place. We have second place with Phil Mayman. We have total annihilation up to 7 points with I with 3 points and Shoddy with 1. Yay! I'm not supposed to clap.
Okay, hello. I am back. I am back not with Swede, but with Bob Sandheinrich. Is that right? Sandheinrich. All right. Okay, so our next question should be coming up shortly. Soon. I'm looking down at the screen to see if it's up yet. It is not. Um, there it is. AI Abraham Lincoln. Okay. The neural net model, Wolfram English Character Level Language Model V1, we'll get into what that means in a second, predicts the next character in a string of English text. Nests this model 30 times, generating 30 new characters on the first sentence in the Gettysburg Address as given by example data and text sentences. Return a string. So, net model is a symbolic representation of a neural net model. That's my understanding, right?
That's right.
Okay, yeah, no, I should probably introduce Bob. Bob is, for one thing, my manager, but also worked on the neural net repository, which we will discuss in a second. But if you want to interject at any point about this stuff, that's totally fine. So net model itself is a symbolic representation of a neural net model, but that thing that's happening, that argument to it, which is a string, is the really interesting part, because that's where the neural net repository comes into play. Ooh, this is Chip, is getting at this quite fast, so let's quickly explain the neural net repository and what calling that function that way means.
Sure. So our neural network support is really at the forefront of this technology, which is, advancing every day. And we're staying at the forefront. And not only is our framework trying to keep up with the industry and doing a great job, but we're also, as new neural networks are published in academia or elsewhere, we are importing those into our framework and making them available through our repository. So the neural net repository is something that lives in our cloud and makes these net models available in any Wolfram language environment anywhere, whether that's desktop or cloud. This net model is one of the newer ones. I think it came out about 7 days ago. So it's a recurrent neural net, which means it maintains a state, and the values that are fed through the net from one input are used for the next one. So it's good at doing things like synthesizing language.
Sure.
And so here's an example. And with these recurrent ones, you have to feed it an input to get it started.
So this one takes one character to edit. No, I'm sorry. It takes a string and it returns a single character at a time. Correct?
Right.
So
right.
it looks like I'm going to actually switch to Etienne, because I suspect Etienne being is it fair to describe him as the machine learning ringleader, or neural nets ringleader?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
He's
Etienne here. Let's see. I suspect he's taking it slightly different. No, he's just nesting it. Okay, that's fine. That's what I did first, and it looks like he got a solution. You can see it's we have all men are created equal. Copyright Press Association.
He's definitely the horse in this race with the best odds.
Yeah, at least as far as the neural net questions go.
Yeah,
this one.
this race.
So he is nesting it normally. I wonder if there is another way to do it that I did not know about at first. Someone pointed it out to me, but it's more efficient because it takes advantage of the state-preserving property of recurrent neural networks. Is that a fair explanation?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to wait to see if anyone comes up with this. I'm hoping someone will, because it's very interesting and it's something I did not know about before. What are we at? No. Okay. We have no confirmed correct solutions yet.
When you nest it like this, it does the same computation more repeatedly.
We have two. Okay, we have two already. I'm sure this is one of them. And let's just quick switch to Mads, who has nothing. Carlo, who is still working on that. And he's getting there. Let's see. What did he do wrong? He's I don't quite see what he did wrong here. Anything jump out at you, Bob?
I'm not sure that string join is working quite right.
It
looks like he's
okay.
Not feeding in the appended thing.
Yeah, clearly it's in
he's
some
just
loop
taking
state
the same sentence
in which
each
it's
time.
exactly. So I have to admit I can't conclusively explain exactly why that's wrong, but clearly it is. And we're back to Chip, who Chip seems to be pretty good at this. And Chip, I may not have mentioned, but Chip worked on this live coding competition, not this one, but this whole project before me, and he wrote some of the previous questions that have appeared in previous competitions. So maybe he has a bit of an advantage in just interpreting these questions. What are we at? 2? Yeah, we're still at 2. Okay, 2 correct solutions.
He's also
that is.
spent a lot of time on the entity framework, so I thought he had an edge up there, but now he's stepping outside of that.
Yeah, he's good. He's clearly pretty good at the neural net stuff. So I thought this one was pretty fun because I wrote this question again, and I thought this was unplanned that it says copyright press association, but I thought that was absolutely hilarious that's what it generates. I'm not going to make any inferences about why that might be based on the training data it's received, but okay, I think that was pretty funny.
Lincoln was a lawyer.
Yeah,
He's
there
not
you go.
gonna-
Copyright presses. He's not going to. Okay, we're at 3. We are at 3 correct solutions, and I think we're just about ready to switch back to Danielle. Correct? Just about. Okay. So, anyone else? Mads did a little bit. That's nice. Question. Carlo, question was very ambiguous. I protest. Interesting. I am interested to hear Carlo's protestation, but perhaps a little later. We're ready to go.
We have a referee.
Yes, we're ready to go back to Danielle when you guys can do it. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to the Live Coding Championship. Woohoo!
Carlo's a strong foot. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
We are getting so close.
No, I
We
didn't
have
have you
3
for, any of
confirmed
these.
correct answers. We've checked timestamps. We have double verified the verification. Excellent. Can we see the updated scoreboard, please? They lied. They lied to me, but at least they take their jobs very seriously. And here it comes. Oh, all right. Excellent. We have Riemann with 13 points. I'm never going to say that correctly. They're messing with me at this point. It's a wonderful long day and they're messing with me. Anyways, with lucky 13, and then in second place we have Phil Mayman. We've got Total Annihilation climbing up at 7 with I at 6 and Shoddy with 1. And we are about ready to go into our final question. Is everyone ready for the final question?
Okay, are we back? Hello, okay, we're back. So we're about to jump to the next question, question 7, which should be here as usual any moment now. There it is, symbol updates. Find the Wolfram language symbol that has been modified in the greatest number of Mathematica/Wolfram language versions. Return a Wolfram language symbol entity. Okay, so let's see. Whoa. No, we shouldn't be there yet. Something went wrong. Okay. Let's see. Does everyone have that? Okay. Well, it seems the judges have accidentally jumped to a subsequent question. Question number 10. Wow. Okay. Not sure how that happened, but we'll roll with it. For the record, this is not question 7. This is at least labeled in our whole list as question 10. But it's about solar eclipses. Of the many total solar eclipses, total solar eclipse is a thing, to occur between now and December 31st, 2100. 2 will happen during, I can't even see 2 will happen during the same year. Find that year and return it as an integer. So a total solar eclipse, I have to admit I'm not too hot on my astronomy, but a total solar eclipse is when the moon passes entirely in front of the sun, correct?
That's correct, and one occurred last summer.
Yes, yeah.
And Stephen wrote a fascinating blog post about it.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on his blog. Then also the next one is occurring, I believe it's going to pass through Peru and Argentina and Uruguay in 2019 of next year, actually. So you will actually be able to see, if you're looking up at the sun, it will be just like a, kind of a ring of light around it. And it's totality. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
So it'll be a couple minutes or less than a couple minutes where you can kind of look at it. And it's there are people who actually chase these things.
Oh, wow.
Kind of
okay.
fascinating.
Okay, so that's cool. Thank you for that explanation. I'm glad we have an amateur astronomer of some sort here, or at least someone who knows what a solar eclipse is.
Sure.
This is a total solar eclipse as opposed to partial. A partial solar eclipse is when the moon moves across the sun, but it doesn't cover it completely at any point. It doesn't
Sure.
obscure it completely.
And actually, do we have Jose here? Jose can talk a lot about.
Thank you, Jose.
Yes, he can talk a lot about the solar eclipse.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad we have someone. So a partial solar eclipse is, I believe, is when the sun is at no point obscured entirely from any point of view on the surface of the Earth. Is that correct, Jose? While a total solar eclipse means that at least at one point on the Earth, at one point in time, the sun appears covered completely, obscured, eclipsed completely.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. So this says only. It says 2 will happen during the same year. So I
Right.
understand. I do understand that solar eclipses happen in some sort of larger cycle. Yeah.
Exactly. There are multiple cycles related to eclipses, and in fact, solar eclipses there are 2 per year.
Two per year.
Yes, but
Okay.
they are not guaranteed to be total, of course.
Okay,
So
yeah.
The question is
and
asking.
it's, I assume, and then I imagine that's whether they're total or not is another cycle depending on, well, I don't know the astronomical terms, but how that trajectory of the moon intersects with the position of the sun. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So based on this, clearly it's unusual since it's 1 in 100 for 2 solar eclipses to happen during the same year. Total solar eclipses. Thank you. And partial solar eclipses. Is it always at least 2 every year? At least 2 solar eclipses in general every year.
Right.
Okay. And are there ever more than that? Like in this case, it's 2 solar eclipses. Might there be 2 total solar eclipses? Might there be a partial solar eclipse in addition to that in this year? I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, we might need to check about that, but
Yes, I think the extremes are 2 to 5.
2 to 5. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So a total or partial, theoretically any
Exactly,
distribution
yes.
between those two.
And if I remember correctly, the last time that there were 5 were something like 1930 something.
Okay, wow, 1930 something. And this, let's see, I'm curious to see which of the years this is, but I hear there is one correct solution that looks like it is Etienne for once. Sorry. So he returned 2057. And he returned it as an integer, which is what we asked for. That's good. I'd actually need to check if that is the. That looks like. Well, clearly it was marked as the correct solution. We're at 2 right now. So 2057 is. Oh, we're at 3. Okay, that was fast. I'm just going to check real quick if it's any of the people we have on here. Nope. Carlo got it, and I suspect. Chip, no, doesn't look like Chip got it. But okay, we have our 3 correct solutions, and when you guys are ready, you can switch back to Danielle. Okay. Thank you again. Thank you for jumping in.
Can you feel the suspense? We have just received word that we have 3 correct submissions for the final question. Ow! Okay, now I have to confirm. Do we know for sure what all of the points are? We are 100% certain we have verified the timestamps and verified the verifications.
They're verified. It is pushed.
Is this live? This is done. This is it.
done.
Is this correct?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Now we've got 1 first place, 2 second places, and 1 third place. Oh. All right. So we are all going to go to bed very, very soon. But before we do, we have to bring up to the stage I.
Ask if they want these.
Yay! With no, you're third, because we have a tie for second.
All right, so I'm third, being fourth. Great.
No, you don't get
No, he
anything.
doesn't do it.
He gets nothing.
Do we
He
say it
gets to
Ryman or
see the
Riemann now?
prize.
That's what you get for messing with pronunciations.
Excellent.
Ryman or Riemann.
Perfect. I need one more. Awesome. Thank you. All right. We had to call in for backup. Sorry about that. All right. So that was third place. So tied for second place, we have Total Annihilation and Phil Mayman.
Good to meet you.
I have wonderful prizes, limited edition Tech CEO minifigures. Good job, good job, good job, good job. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And we get to crown a new champion.
The champion
Right
of
now.
the live coding competition 2018. Revealing the true identity.
Yay! Get it.
Oh, this is heavy.
That is a real belt right there. All right, you got to pose for all the pictures.
Help me put it on. Yes, sir.
We got to snap buttons. This is not a cheap imitation belt.
No,
We
this
just want to let you know.
Heavy belt.
This is a legit belt. And you get. Excellent. Congratulations, Chip, and thank you very much. Is there any words of wisdom you would like to share with the audience?
Read a new function every day on the documentation page.
You heard it from the champion.
All right.
Thank you all so very much for participating, for joining us live, for joining us here, and we'll see you next time. Yeah.
Wow, really?
No, so we told John who won the first belt that he could take it, but he had to come back and defend